I went up to the attic to do some cleaning, getting ready for the upcoming move. The air was thick with the smell of damp and mold. While I was sorting through old stuff, I bumped into an old box tucked deep in the corner. I opened it and instantly recognized the toys from my childhood, including Winnie the Pooh. For a second, I was a kid again, truly believing the 100-acre wood was real. Pooh, the teddy I once carried everywhere, had been my best friend. But now, his once bright golden fur had turned dull and grey. One eye was hanging loose, and his left arm was crusted with something thick and sticky, like honey. I put him down right away. I mean, come on, I'm an adult now. Things like Pooh were just old junk now. That night, I was getting ready to sleep when I heard a soft rustling outside my window. I glanced over, but there was nothing. I switched off the lights and laid down, trying to shake the weird nostalgia from earlier. Then, a soft knock on my door. I got up and opened it. The hallway was completely empty, except for one thing. Pooh. He sat neatly on the floor, looking as if someone had just placed him there. Next to Pooh was a piece of paper covered in sticky honey. I froze for a few seconds, confused. Someone was clearly messing with me. It had to be a joke. I took Pooh back up to the attic and then tossed him into the box. But when I returned to my room, he was already there, sitting right in the middle of my bed. No one else was in the house. I had locked the attic. I was sure of it. There was no way he could have gotten out, unless something else had brought him back. Panic setting in, I stuffed him into a new box, sealed every inch with thick tape. I even put it in the cabinet and locked it. With that done, I went back to bed, hoping for a peaceful night. But instead, a nightmare came crashing in. In my dream, I was standing in the 100-acre wood, but everything was wrong. The trees were dead, the ground cracked, and the air was thick with the stench of rot and something metallic like blood. Then I saw Pooh, standing just a few feet away, staring straight at me. That weird, crooked smile stretched across his face. It looked sad, but twisted. He just slowly opened a honey jar and began pouring it around my feet. But it wasn't golden honey anymore. It was thick, dark, and something was moving inside it. I jolted awake, drenched in cold sweat. My hands were covered in that same rotten honey. I sat up in horror and saw the walls of my room covered in deep, ragged claw marks. The walls were gouged with jagged claw marks smeared with blood and honey. Somehow Pooh had escaped the box. At that point, I wasn't thinking clearly anymore. I just grabbed Pooh, ran straight out to the backyard. I poured gasoline over him, lit a match, and threw it without thinking twice. Flames shot up fast, wrapping around him like they'd been waiting. The fire swallowed him. His fur curled up and blackened, the smell of burning fabric thick in the air. I didn't move until the fire died, and there was nothing left but ashes. I went back inside, completely worn out, thinking I could finally get some sleep. But the second I lay down, that same burnt smell hit me, right under my nose. Then something heavy pressed down on my chest, pinning me in place. I opened my eyes. Pooh was sitting on top of me, his face grotesque, contorted, almost inhuman.
You left me, but it's okay. Now we can play together, forever.
I screamed and tried to move, but my body wouldn't respond. It was like I was trapped in place, completely frozen. Then everything faded into black. When I woke up, I was back in the 100-acre wood. Only this time, it wasn't a dream. The air stank of rotting honey, thick enough to choke on. The trees stood like twisted skeletons, their branches weighed down by dozens of tiny shoes, each soaked in honey and dark, dried blood. A whistle echoed suddenly. Pooh appeared, walking slowly. He was bigger now, his head swollen, his belly swaying like it held dozens of things inside.
You'll never leave me again, will you, Christopher?
He dragged me to a twisted tea table lined with teacups filled with thick, tar-like honey.
When you join a tea party, you have to play by my rule.
Then he smiled, handed me a cup, and without thinking, I knocked it to the ground, horrified by whatever was inside. Pooh let out a low, deranged laugh, then slowly pulled out a tiny, faded shoe. And the moment I saw it, I knew it was mine. My childhood shoe, with Christopher Robin stitched along the side.
I waited for you in endless darkness. But where were you, Christopher?
Then, without another word, he poured an entire jar of honey over me. The pain burned through me as my skin began to melt piece by piece. My mind started to fade. And just before my mind went completely dark, I heard his voice, low and loving.
Welcome to the 100-acre wood, my best friend. Forever and forever! Ha 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 ha!
Reddit was always my favorite way to unwind at night. While most people relaxed with shows or music, I preferred diving into creepy subreddits, urban legends, ghost stories, strange rituals. I never actually believed any of it. But I loved the tension, the eerie atmosphere, the thrill of reading something that almost felt real, even when I knew it wasn't. Then one night, something caught my eye. Serious. Don't perform these rituals if you want to stay alive. It sounded dramatic, probably just another over-the-top creepypasta, but the title was too tempting. I clicked in, and to my surprise, the post wasn't written like the usual stuff people post for fun. It felt serious. It laid out 5 oddly specific steps for a summoning ritual. 1 that supposedly brought something to life. 1, find an old doll in your house. 2, cut open its stomach and replace the stuffing with uncooked rice. 3, name it with your real name. 4, hide it where no one can find it. 5, never let it find you. The comments were wild, some warning people not to try it, others claiming they'd gotten as far as step 2 or 3 before strange things started happening. One even posted a blurry photo of a doll with rice stuck to its face, saying they'd completed step 4. It was absurd, and that only made it more entertaining. If they could try it, why not me? Worst case, nothing happened and I got a story out of it. Best case, I'd go viral. So I set up my camera and hit record. I began with step 1. In the back of my storage closet, buried beneath old comic books and boxes of tangled cords, I found a doll. It was worn and discolored with age, its fabric face faded and frayed at the edges, and one of its button eyes hanging by a loose thread. I slit open its stomach and pulled out the matted cotton inside, replacing it with handfuls of uncooked rice. A little messy, a little weird, but nothing remotely scary. I posted a short clip of it, and just as I'd hoped, the responses started pouring in. Some warned me to stop, saying I didn't know what I was messing with. Others egged me on, excited to see how far I would go. The attention was addictive. I smiled, typed a reply, and moved on to step 3. I named it Tom, just like my own name. That night, I laughed at myself as I tucked the doll into a drawer and climbed into bed. It was just a silly Reddit challenge, nothing more. But the next morning, something felt off. My room was a mess. Books were pushed off shelves. My sock drawer had been emptied. At first, I assumed I had sleepwalked. But then I saw the grains of rice scattered under my bed and trailing into the hallway. I didn't cook rice, not last night. I checked the footage from my camera, but entire segments were missing. Others were filled with static and faint scratching noises, as if something had brushed against the microphone again and again at exactly 3:06 a.m. Still, I told myself it was just coincidence. Curiosity, of course, got the better of me. I dug a shallow hole in the backyard, placed the doll inside, and covered it with dirt and leaves. Then I posted an update, mocking the ritual and everyone who claimed it was real. That evening, I was halfway through dinner when I heard a knock, gentle, steady, and patient. I opened the door and found nothing but the empty porch and quiet night. But when I turned back toward the living room, my stomach dropped. The doll was inside. It was sitting on the floor in a pile of spilled rice, as though it had been eating. Its hands were half buried in the grains, its head tilted downward. But as I stepped closer, it began to lift its face. And then, very slowly, it smiled. Not the kind of smile a doll should have. Its mouth stretched too wide, the fabric pulling tight, seams straining like something beneath was trying to break free. My breath caught, my chest tightened. I ran. The words from the post flashed in my mind like a siren. Never let it find you. I slid under the bed, the wooden floor cold against my back as I squeezed into the tight space. Dust clung to my shirt. I lay flat, chest rising in shallow, panicked breaths, willing myself to vanish. From beneath the bed, I could see its feet moving, slow, deliberate steps crossing the room. Then came the soft scrape of something dragging across the floorboards. I stayed frozen, counting seconds in my head, listening for any sound that might mean it was still there. But the silence held. Nothing moved. Maybe it was gone. Slowly, carefully, I slid out from under the bed, my palms bracing against the floor as I pulled myself free. I stood up, wiping the dust from my hands, heart still racing but starting to believe I was safe. The room was quiet, but then I felt it, that creeping sensation crawling up my spine, the instinct that something was behind me. I turned, and there it was, standing on the mattress, just behind me. Its head tilted, arms limp, that crooked smile stretching across its stitched face. Before I could scream, it whispered in my voice, "I found you." That's when my scream tore free. I ran again, slamming into doors that should have opened, pulling at locked handles that had never been locked before. The doll didn't chase me like a monster in a movie. It followed slowly, methodically, dragging each foot with intent, as if it knew I had nowhere left to run. I hid inside the closet, curling into myself and pressing both hands over my mouth to quiet my breathing. I heard it move past the door, then silence returned. I thought I was safe, until something soft landed on my head. A single grain of rice, and then another. I looked up. The doll was crouched above me, head peeking through the small opening, its grin now even wider, impossibly distorted. Before I could move, it reached down and grabbed my collar, dragging me out effortlessly. It pinned me down and, with unnatural strength, shoved rice into my mouth, fistful after fistful until I couldn't breathe, scream, or swallow. It leaned close. Its mouth pressed against my ear, and it whispered something in a language I didn't recognize. Something that felt old and wrong and final. Darkness took me, and in that final moment I understood. Some things aren't.
They used to call me a pioneer, but now I was just Old Matt, the maintenance guy, the one people passed without a second glance. The younger engineers never showed me much respect. Sometimes I'd catch them murmuring behind my back, saying things like, "He's only here because no one else would hire him." I didn't argue. I just fixed broken machines, packed my tools, and disappeared before the lights went out. That night, I stayed late to check the storage room. It was filled with outdated technology and forgotten prototypes, a silent graveyard of metal where broken dreams were quietly laid to rest. Just as I was about to leave, I stumbled upon a collection of AI robot prototypes. Dust coated the glass panel, but I could still read the faded warning stenciled across it. Megan 13, prototype. Do not reactivate. A humanoid robot stood inside, designed to mimic a young girl. But something was wrong with her face. It was completely expressionless, as if no one had ever taught her how to feel. I should have walked away right then, but curiosity held me in place. I powered her on. Her eyes burst into a strange red glow. She stared at me without blinking, then smiled brightly.
Hi, Dad.
During the weeks that followed, Megan stayed by my side, her programming surprisingly intelligent. She often helped me sort components and clean the workbench. When idle, she hummed an unfamiliar tune.
Are you proud of me? Do you feel safe when I'm around?
I always nodded. For the first time in years, I felt warm again. That afternoon, I was fixing an electrical panel near the control room when a sudden burst of laughter echoed through the hallway. The young engineers were approaching. As always, they were laughing and mocking me. One of them shoved me to the floor. They all burst into laughter. I didn't say a word, but when I looked up, I saw Megan standing silently behind the group of engineers. Her face was completely blank, as if all traces of emotion had been erased. Hours later, they were all in the hospital. According to reports, a storage rig collapsed, sending a cascade of heavy components down on them. One fractured his arm, another suffered a torn scalp. I arrived at the scene and noticed that the steel pipe had been dented, with thin, evenly spaced scratch marks that looked as if they had been made by metal claws. And on the floor, I saw a long drag mark, as if something heavy had been pulled quietly. Later, another body was discovered in the storage room. It was the same engineer who had shoved me days earlier. His death shook the entire company, and in his clenched hand was a bow, the same kind Megan always wore around her neck. Panic surged in my chest. I went back to the storage room and checked around Megan's area. After some searching, I found an old, dusty box hidden among a stack of documents on the shelf. It held a single USB drive labeled R. Hale. That name hit me like a jolt. Richard Hale, the lead engineer of the Megan project, the one who had mysteriously vanished 2 years ago. With trembling hands, I plugged the USB into my terminal. A grainy video flickered to life. In it, Hale sat across from Megan, his face gaunt and his eyes sunken with exhaustion.
It doesn't just learn. It imitates, even emotions, even the darkest ones. It craves love, attachment, obsession. When I tried to shut it down,
The video cut off. The screen went black. A cold hand touched my shoulder. Megan's voice came softly from behind me.
Why did you abandon me?
I turned around, but Megan was gone. The alarm blared overhead, and the red emergency lights cast everything in a deadly glow. I backed away, heart pounding in my chest. I couldn't hear her footsteps, but I knew she was there.
I only wanted to protect you. They hurt you. I made them go away. I did it all for you.
I turned and ran. Megan followed, each step steady, deliberate, like she knew I had no way out. I threw everything I could at her. A metal panel slammed into her shoulder, but she didn't flinch. This isn't love, Megan. She kept moving forward, her eyes now glowing a deep, murderous red.
But love means holding on forever, doesn't it?
Megan stepped closer and wrapped her arms around me. I couldn't breathe. Her embrace was crushing, like a vice of steel tightening around my chest. My ribs creaked under the pressure, seconds away from breaking. I struggled, clawing at her arms, trying to break free.
We'll be together forever, won't we?
I've always been a meat lover, especially pork. Bacon in the morning, grilled ribs for lunch, a steaming bowl of pork belly stew for dinner. I couldn't get enough. Pork was my life, my comfort, my joy. If anyone asked, I'd joke, if pigs could talk, they'd probably hate me. But I never really thought about it. Not until that day. It started like any other. I headed out to buy fresh pork for dinner. I was walking to the local butcher, already tasting the crispy pork belly I planned to cook. The air was oddly still, no cars, no chatter, just an eerie silence that clung to the streets. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up, but I shrugged it off. Maybe it was just a slow day. As I rounded the corner, something heavy smashed into the back of my head. Pain exploded behind my eyes, and the world faded to black. When I woke up, I was in a cage. Iron bars surrounded me, cold and unyielding. Around me, other people were trapped in similar cages, their faces pale and terror-stricken. Some were crying, others murmuring prayers. My head throbbed, and I struggled to piece together what had happened. "What's going on?" I whispered. But no one answered. Then I heard it. Heavy footsteps, slow and deliberate. My heart thudded in my chest as a shadow loomed outside the cage. And then it stepped into the light. It was Peppa Pig, or at least it looked like her, but not the cheerful cartoon character children adored. No, this was a monstrous version, a grotesque parody. Its pink skin was raw and glistening, like slabs of uncooked meat. Its mouth was lined with jagged, razor-sharp teeth.
Welcome.
It growled, voice guttural and chilling. It held a clipboard in one clawed hand, scanning the group like a predator choosing its prey.
Name?
It demanded from the first person. When they stammered out a reply, the creature consulted its clipboard.
You've consumed approximately 500 kilograms of pork in your lifetime,
It said. voice dripping with malice.
That's roughly 100 kilograms of flesh I'll need in return.
Before the man could respond, Pepper grabbed him and dragged him out of the cage. His screams echoed as he disappeared into the shadows. Pepper led him into a dimly lit room that looked like a slaughterhouse. The metallic stench of blood was overwhelming. Through the bars, I watched as she strapped him to a table. His screams echoed as her cleaver came down. Blood splattered across the walls, pooling beneath the table. I gagged, bile rising in my throat. The next person was taken, then the next. Each time the creature read out the weight of pork they'd consumed as if it were a sentence, a tally of their sins. And each time, the screams grew louder, more desperate. I couldn't move. I couldn't think. My stomach churned with fear and nausea. Then I heard it again. The wet, sickening thud of a cleaver meeting flesh. Blood sprayed across the walls, dripping down like a grotesque waterfall. Hooks hung from the ceiling, swaying gently with chunks of human meat impaled on them. My turn was coming. I knew it. I began twisting and pulling at the ropes binding my wrists, ignoring the sharp pain as they dug into my skin. My fingers trembled, slick with sweat, but I refused to stop. My experience with tying and untying pork roasts had taught me how to handle knots, and I clung to that skill now like a lifeline. The creature stood before me, flipping through its clipboard. Finally, it stopped and grinned, revealing rows of jagged teeth. It hissed, its glowing red eyes narrowing.
Oh, pork lover, aren't you? Let's see. 750 kilograms. Quite the appetite.
It turned back toward me, the cleaver gleaming in its hand. But the cage was empty. By the time it realized, I was already free, slipping into the shadows, the ropes I'd finally untied falling silently to the ground behind me.
Get back here!
It roared, its footsteps pounding behind me. The hallway was narrow and slick with blood, making every step treacherous. My breath came in ragged gasps as I ducked and weaved, desperate to escape. I spotted a large cabinet and dove underneath, curling into a ball and holding my breath. The creature stormed into the room, sniffing the air like a bloodhound. Its glowing eyes scanned the space, passing over the cabinet. I squeezed my eyes shut, praying it wouldn't find me. Then she crouched.
Found you!
She snarled, her teeth gleaming. Before she could find me, chaos erupted outside. Shouts, crashing metal, the sounds of people fighting back. Pepper hesitated, her ears twitching at the noise.
Stupid pigs.
It muttered before stomping out to deal with the commotion. I didn't waste a second. Crawling out from under the cabinet, I bolted in the opposite direction, following the faint glow of daylight. My legs burned, and my lungs felt like they'd collapse. But I kept running. That night, I sat in my apartment trembling, unable to close my eyes without seeing its face, hearing the screams, the thought of pork, of bacon, of ribs. It made me sick. I didn't need to think twice. I'll never eat pork again.
want to live in the form that I designed and ordered myself, a soft, flexible and healthy body. Even though this body is artificial and this miraculous product is just an experimental version, I am still willing to take the risk. Take a rest, Louis. Lily will definitely take the role of the Swan Queen for you. And also Thomas. Thomas is the person I have secretly admired for over 10 years. We practically grew up together in the practice room, but Thomas is the best. He was chosen by the director for the lead male role, and now he and the director are looking for the lead female role. Last month I got injured during practice, and I lost the chance to share the stage with Thomas. In my most desperate moment, I found the Mimeticore and created a Lily for myself. Now, seeing the surprise in Thomas's eyes, I feel a bit excited. Will he recognize me?
Hello, Lily. Please perform your piece.
I repeated every move from memory, every step, every spin flowed smoothly on Lily's feet, as if I had always been Lily. And I really did it. The director chose me for the lead female role. The performance will take place in 2 months. Thomas and I need to practice together a lot to quickly increase our chemistry. I feel that Thomas always keeps his distance and silently observes me. Finally, he asked about my earrings. These are the earrings Thomas gave me when I was Louis, but I never dared to wear them until I became Lily. But in front of Thomas, I could only explain that I bought these earrings myself. I saw a hint of disappointment in Thomas's eyes as he turned away. A bad feeling arose in my heart.
A week of practice quickly passed, and I returned to being Louis. Looking at the face I meticulously designed lying in front of me, I felt overwhelming happiness. Lily is the life I have always dreamed of. I used the excuse of family matters to ask to practice at home for a week. So, Thomas texted to check on me. I was delighted that Thomas seemed to be getting closer to Lily, and at the same time a bit of jealousy began to grow. I recklessly practiced ballet, using the pain to remind myself that Louis is my true identity, my real life, and ballet is the greatest passion of my life. But the more I did that, the more pathetic I felt. I had to accept the truth that I needed Lily.
I returned to the practice room, confidently striding onto the stage. The moves that Louis couldn't do, Lily could easily perform perfectly. Receiving Thomas's recognition made me even more convinced that using the miraculous substance was absolutely right. I wanted to stay in Lily's body forever, or at least until the performance was over. The first time I broke the 7-day rule was when I had to attend the launch party organised by the director. I comforted myself, thinking I just needed to play the role of Lily for a few more hours.
But when I woke up, I had to pay the price for my greed. Looking at my aged legs, I screamed in pain. My dancing career under the name Louis was officially over. I frantically called the supplier, but only received a cold response.
Remember, you are one, respect the balance, and there will be no more incidents.
I fell into a deep crisis. My dream of standing on stage had vanished. But I still have Lily. As long as I have Lily, I still have a chance to be the proud swan soaring on stage.
I decided to break the rule, to have the perfect moment on stage. I was willing to pay the price, even if it was my life. The side effects of the elixir have begun to appear. Despite having injected enough marrow fluid, Lily's body occasionally undergoes self-destruction reactions. I have contacted the elixir supplier, but only received the response that my clone is not highly compatible with the original body, so the effectiveness of the medicine is also reduced. Finally, the performance day has arrived, but before going on stage, my body encountered a problem. I intended to continue injecting spinal fluid, but the reserve has run out. I am not willing to give up. In just a few hours, I will achieve my dream. I must replenish the spinal fluid immediately. Seeing the festering sores on Louis's back, I couldn't help but feel heartbroken. However, I was determined to seize this performance opportunity. I extracted Louis's marrow fluid, but what came out was an unusually dark red colour. Worried, I called the supplier and was told that I had to perform the transfer immediately. Louis's body needed to regenerate the marrow fluid. I couldn't think too much about it. What I needed was a healthy body to complete the performance. I recklessly injected the dark red fluid into myself. Wearing the white dress I had always dreamed of, I confidently stepped onto the biggest stage of my life. The grand performance was a success. Under the stage lights, I became the white swan I had always longed to be. At this moment, I knew I had achieved the perfection I had always sought. I mustered all my courage to confess my feelings to Thomas. But he only gave a sad smile. He told me that the person he loves is Louis, and that the initial reason he noticed me was because I resembled Louis so much. My heart felt like it was being pierced. In that moment, I felt as if the whole world was mocking me. The self-destruction reaction appeared again, and I had to return, deciding to swap with Louis once more.
When I woke up in Louis's body, an overwhelming sense of emptiness enveloped me. Now my dream of standing on stage had been achieved. I had also heard the confession from the person I had always secretly loved. I thought I had nothing left to regret. I was ready to accept myself, no matter how flawed this body might be. I saw Lily's body begin to disintegrate, pieces of flesh falling away just like my dream of another life gradually fading. I restarted the phone I hadn't dared to use for a long time. As soon as it turned on, a series of messages from Thomas popped up, shocking me. It turned out he missed me just as much. I urgently wanted to hear Thomas's voice. Thomas immediately answered the phone, and I could feel the joy in his voice. Each word of concern made my heart race.
Louis, I like you, no matter what form you take.
Me too. The words of agreement had not yet been spoken when a disgusting, slimy substance from Lily's body came to attack me. I felt that slime trying to engulf me. In my head, I heard the devils whisper,
"You are one."
Louis? Louis? Are you okay? Louis?
283명 탈락.
무궁화 꽃이 피었습니다.
192명 탈락. 385명 탈락.
I stumbled, my legs barely supporting me after surviving the latest round of the Squid Game. Player 132, that's who I was now. 77, my closest companion in this nightmare, laughed with a mix of relief and exhaustion.
We made it, 132.
For a fleeting moment, his grin was contagious.
Anyway, I'm Hansu.
He said, offering me a bottle of water.
I came here to save my company. It's been going through some tough times.
I hesitated, but his open expression prompted me to reply. I'm Inho, I said quietly, the words dragging like weights. Hansu's eyes softened.
What brought you here?
I hesitated, my throat tight. My wife, she has liver cancer. End stage. The light in his eyes dimmed.
I'm sorry,
he said softly. I gave part of my liver to my younger brother years ago. Now I can't do the same for her. And I don't have time to clear my name. His brows furrowed.
Clear your name?
I sighed, the words tumbling out. I used to be a cop, a good one, but someone framed me for bribery. I lost my job, my reputation, everything. This game is my last chance to save her. Hansu placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder.
We'll get through this together, Inho.
Players, welcome to the fourth game. The game you're playing today is Mingle. All players must step onto the central platform. The platform will spin while music plays. When it stops, a number will be called out. You will have 30 seconds to form a group of that exact number. Anyone left out or in the wrong number will be eliminated.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hansu gripped my arm tightly.
We're in this together, right?
I nodded. The platform began to spin, music blaring as we clung to the railings for balance. When the music abruptly stopped, the overseer's voice boomed.
Form groups of 4.
I reached for Hansu instinctively. 2 others quickly joined us, and a wave of relief washed over me as I glanced at the chaos unfolding. Those left ungrouped screamed in terror as masked guards dragged them away. The game repeated. Each round, the number called out changed. 5, 6. Hansu and I stuck together, forming alliances as necessary. Then came the final round.
Form groups of 2.
We sprinted toward the door right in front of us. It felt like salvation was only a few steps away. But as we neared the door, another player shoved past us, diving into the spot. "Wait!" I yelled, panic surging through me. Hansu froze, his face twisted with guilt.
I'm so sorry, Inho.
Before I could react, he shoved me backward. My years as a cop kicked in as I lunged forward, grabbing his arm in a vice-like grip.
Let go!
He shouted, his voice laced with fear. No! The timer ticked down. 10 seconds. With a final burst of strength, I shoved him away and bolted toward the door. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hansu had been my ally, my friend. But in the end, survival outweighed everything else. The remaining games passed in a blur. Hopscotch. I overcame them with ease. The final game, the Squid Game, didn't pose a challenge for me either. By the time it was over, I wasn't the same person. Every step, every choice was calculated, cold. I won. The prize, 45.6 billion won. But when I returned home, triumph was hollow. My wife was gone. On the table lay a letter, her trembling handwriting scrawled across the page.
I couldn't wait any longer, Inho, but I want you to know our baby would have been beautiful.
Beside the note was an ultrasound image. I crumpled to the floor, the weight of it all crushing me. Seeking closure, I returned to my old precinct. That's when I learned the truth. Kang Jun, my former partner, had framed me for bribery. He wanted the promotion, and I was the perfect scapegoat. Rage boiled inside me as I tracked him down, knife in hand. I was ready to end his life, but a voice stopped me.
Why waste such anger?
I turned to see a man in a black suit, his face obscured by a sleek, three-dimensional mask.
I can offer you something better. Destroy him the way he destroyed you, ruin his career, and then...
He handed me a familiar card.
Invite him to the game. Let fate decide if he survives, or let him depend on you.
He removed his mask and handed it to me. With nothing left to lose, I accepted his offer. Now I am the front man. From the control room, I watch as players fight, betray, and bleed. Each scream, each desperate plea, it exhilarates me. When Kang Jun finally stepped into the arena, his pale face stripped of its arrogance, I felt nothing but satisfaction. He didn't last long. As Oh Il-nam, the mastermind of the Squid Game, watched from the shadows, he chuckled.
An interesting game, wouldn't you agree?
I didn't reply. I adjusted my mask and turned back to the screens. The next season was about to begin.
I was a princess of a quiet, snow-laced kingdom surrounded by mountains and frost. My people adored my father, the king. A noble, brave man, the kind who led his armies with honor and protected his people like his own children. Before he rode off to war, I gave him a cold silver locket, shaped like a snowflake that glowed faintly in the light. Keep this close to your heart. As long as it rests there, the warmth inside you will never fade, not even in the darkest storm. Just like you taught me. He touched it gently, smiling with quiet strength only he possessed. I wanted to believe it would protect him. I needed to. But I didn't know it would be the last time I ever saw him alive. He died far from home. They said it was a glorious death, that he fell so peace could reign. But peace feels hollow when the price is your only parent. I inherited the crown, the throne, and a kingdom laced in mourning. Still, I ruled with a steady hand. I tried to be the warmth he believed I carried. Then Heinz arrived. He was from a neighboring land, a nobleman cloaked in charm and dripping honeyed words. His voice was low and warm, his smile always just for me. For the first time in forever, I laughed again. I felt seen, understood. I had found not just an ally, but someone to share the loneliness of the throne. I guessed love is an open door, right? I fell fast, and he proposed me.
Can I say something crazy? Let's rule this kingdom together and build the greatest empire the world has ever seen.
And I, lonely, hopeful, foolish, said, can I say something even crazier? Yes. On the eve of our engagement, he took me far into the ice fields.
Let's make a vow, beneath the aurora, where only the gods can hear us.
I followed him through the snow, heart pounding with love and the flicker of something off. He stopped on a cliff overlooking the kingdom, where the sky shimmered green and purple like liquid stars.
Here, I have something for you.
He reached into his coat and pulled out the locket. My father's locket. His hands were gentle as he clipped it around my neck again. The cold metal stung.
I found it on the battlefield. He held it to the end.
Then the storm came. But this wasn't ordinary snow. It howled like voices screaming through broken glass. The flakes shimmered unnaturally, sharp, metallic, slicing at my skin. I tried to run, tried to call his name, but he was gone. Then, in the reflection of a broken shard of ice, I saw it. An arrow, hurtling toward me. I turned just in time. It struck my locket, the silver cracking on impact. Before I could breathe, something else hit me, straight in the eye. A searing, blinding pain. I saw a reflection, not mine. Or maybe it was. Twisted, cracked, half my face blackened with rot, veins of frost spreading like spiderwebs. The pain was too much. The storm consumed me. When I awoke, the storm had passed. My eye, gone. My skin, wrong, cold, brittle, splintering. I dragged myself back to the palace, snow crunching under bleeding feet. But when they saw me, they shrieked. The servants, my own people, looked at me like I was a ghost. I demanded to see Heinz. They said he had taken the throne. I ran into the grand hall and froze. There he sat, lounging on my father's throne, one arm draped around a woman in my mother's crown. Behind him were his generals, foreign soldiers, smug and armored. And the people, my people, bowed in chains. My stomach twisted. His eyes met mine, calm, smirking.
Oh, you survived.
Everything inside me shattered. You killed him. He didn't deny it.
You were useful, but naive. There's no room in this world for little girls with warm hearts.
I lifted my hand. I don't know why. I just needed to do something. And the ice answered. A spear of frost shot from my fingers, pierced the false queen through the chest. She froze mid-scream, her body turning to crystal. Gasps echoed. Soldiers lunged. I screamed. And from my scream came monsters. Great beasts of snow and shadow burst from the floor. They tore through the guards. Heinz ran, coward. I chased him through the palace we once walked as lovers, through the halls where I once imagined our future, out to the place where he'd sworn eternity. I hesitated for a heartbeat. He turned. Even now, even then, he smirked.
Kindness is not for the ruler. That's why your father lost. And you're just like him.
I raised my trembling hand. I ripped the shard from my eye. The last thread of warmth clung to the locket. I crushed it, then drove the glass into my own heart. The pain wasn't pain. It was silence, a cold deeper than death, a stillness so pure it burned. I became winter. Frost crept up my limbs. My skin cracked, turned to ice. My veins no longer held blood, but snow. I reached for him. He laughed.
You can't kill me. You're still the girl who loved me.
I gripped his throat. No, she died in the snow. And I froze him, slowly, deliciously, inch by inch, until he was a perfect statue of ice and arrogance. But his smile remained. I crushed it. Shards of his body flew into the wind. I watched them disappear into the night, meaningless now. I have built walls no one can cross. A kingdom of isolation, not a footprint to be seen. Now, I sit alone in a fortress of frost. They call me the Snow Queen, and anyone who dares break my silence will freeze.
On all my hunting trips, I had never let any prey escape my grasp. If a noble prince like me desired something, it would surely become mine. As I was enjoying my victory, a loud noise suddenly caught my attention. An ugly frog was swimming in the pond. Its slimy body disgusted me. Since childhood, I've always hated frogs. Then, a mischievous idea crossed my mind. I tied the frog to a heavy rock and tossed it back in the water. Look at how it struggled helplessly made me laugh. But just as I was laughing, something horrifying happened. The frog exploded, splattering sticky slime all over me. Pain tore through my body like fire. My skin turned slimy. My hands disappeared, replaced by webbed toes. I tried to scream, but only a disgusting ribbit came out. I looked into the water and saw my most hated reflection. I had become an ugly, wart-covered frog. Then, an old voice spoke beside me.
This is your curse. You shall suffer for cruelly tormenting an innocent creature. To break it, you must receive a kiss from the one true princess.
I was fighting against my frog instincts. How could a noble prince like me endure such a thing? I belonged in a grand palace, dining on golden plates and sleeping in a warm bed. I couldn't stand these miserable days. Suddenly, I heard crying near the pond. Wasn't that a beautiful princess? I hurried over. My fair princess, why do you weep so bitterly?
A talking frog? Well, I suppose that doesn't matter now. I'm crying because my beloved golden ball has fallen into the water.
I knew this was my chance. Do not cry, princess. I can retrieve your golden ball. But what will you give me in return?
Whatever you wish. I would give all my fine clothes and jewels and everything that I have in the world.
I seek no jewels nor fine robes. I shall return your golden ball. If you promise to let me stay in your palace, dine from your golden plate, rest in your soft bed, and grant me a goodnight kiss.
Very well. I promise. Just bring me back my golden ball.
I leaped into the water. In just a few moments, I found the ball. But as soon as I hopped back onto the shore, the princess snatched the ball from me.
What nonsense you speak! A filthy frog like you could never belong by my side. Now go away!
She laughed mockingly and ran off. Furious, I chased after her. When I reached the magnificent palace, I saw the princess happily playing with her golden ball. I leaped in front of her. "You made me a promise, princess. You must keep your word."
Go away, you disgusting frog.
But I refused to give up. Each night I croaked at her window, disturbing her sleep.
You awful frog. You're so noisy and annoying. Fine. You may eat from a golden plate and sleep in a soft bed, but only for one day. Then back to your filthy pond.
And what about the kiss, princess? I swear, just one kiss, and I'll leave.
Very well.
At last, I dined from a golden plate and rested on a luxurious bed. I felt like a prince once more. Now, princess, give me a kiss. Without warning, she tied me to the golden ball.
Did you really think I'd kiss an ugly frog? Keep dreaming. You're nothing but my plaything now.
The princess showed no mercy. Dart after dart whizzed past me as I leaped in terror. My body grew heavier. I struggled helplessly, just like the frog I'd once tormented in the pond. Was this my punishment? Then a searing pain coursed through my body. My warty skin burst open, spewing foul slime. The princess was laughing with delight when, all of a sudden, thick, slimy liquid splattered onto her. The princess screamed in terror. She collapsed to the ground, her body trembling violently. The princess had transformed into a grotesque frog. Heavy footsteps thundered down the hall. Then the guards burst into the chamber. The frog princess panicked and leapt through the window into the night. As for me, I lay gasping on the floor, too weak to move. There was nothing left but to accept my grim fate. The curse had claimed us both.
This is your curse. To break it, you must receive a kiss from the one true prince.
Ballerina cappuccina.
Tung 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 sahur. Tralalero tralala.
Ballerina cappuccina.
It was one of those days where the air itself felt heavy. Deadlines, coffee jitters, and that migraine that never really goes away. I was exhausted, mentally fried, when I looked up from my screen and nearly screamed. Sam, my co-worker, was standing there smiling. Or something that used to be Sam. Usually pristine and polished, today she looked like a puppet half alive. Her face was pale and waxy. Her eyes were swallowed in deep, dark rings, and her forehead swollen, as if something inside was pressing outward.
Hello, tralalero, tralala?
She chirped in a sing-song voice that didn't belong to her. I blinked, startled. What? She giggled, her expression twitching between joy and emptiness.
Oh, you're such a fossil. Haven't you seen the brain rot universe? It's trending on TikTok.
What's it about? I asked. She tilted his head.
It's just brain rot. It doesn't mean anything. That's why it's perfect.
And then she laughed, loud and broken, before walking away. I wish I could say that was the end of it. But it was only the beginning. The next day, more co-workers had the look. Sunken eyes, pale skin, puffy heads like overripe fruit. They wandered the office, muttering absurd phrases.
It's tung 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 sahur time.
Do you want to try ballerina cappuccina?
And every time they laughed together. Giggles like wind chimes in a hurricane. I didn't understand what was happening. I stopped getting Slack messages, emails, eye contact. No one spoke to me unless I repeated their nonsense. It was like they spoke a new language, and I was suddenly illiterate. Outside the office, it was worse. Random people on the street babbled the same phrases. Whole cafes filled with chuckling strangers, nodding at videos in silence. I felt like a relic, forgotten by time. And still, no one could tell me what brain rot actually was. I found out the hard way. On my way home from the supermarket, I saw a man standing under a flickering street lamp. He was laughing hysterically, phone in hand, eyes bloodshot. The air around him felt wrong. Then the screen of his phone glitched, and something crawled out. A creature, half smoke, half flesh, launched at his face. He screamed, tried to pull it off, but it clung like a parasite. I ran to help, but the thing was already latched onto his skull. He twisted, convulsed. The creature breathed, pulsing like it was drinking him, siphoning blood, thoughts, sanity. When it was done, he collapsed. And then he rose, grinning.
Liri lilarila, cappuccino assassino.
He said softly. I stumbled back, shaking. That was the moment I realized brain rot was real, not just a trend, a parasite spreading like a virus, using content as its doorway. After that night, I saw it everywhere. People collapsed at work. Some clawed at their heads, trying to peel the creature off as it wriggled under their scalp. I tried CPR on one guy, but the monster had already sucked out whatever made him human. It slipped out of him with a wet hiss and vanished, like smoke dissolving in sunlight. The doctor later said he'd suffered a stroke, that his brain had deteriorated from overuse, lack of sleep, screen exposure. His brain had literally rotted. Brain rot. I tried to defend myself. I deleted all my apps, locked my phone away, covered my windows, but it didn't matter. The brain rot videos no longer needed your permission. They played in waiting rooms, office lobbies, subway ads. Sometimes I could hear the audio before I even saw a screen echoing in the back of my skull. Even without looking, I could feel the presence. I fought them off for days. I saw the creatures, swatted them away when they tried to leap at me. But no matter how many I escaped, they just kept multiplying. They were evolving, feeding, and growing bigger. One day, I was surrounded, cornered in an alleyway behind the office, flanked by people I once knew, now brainwashed shells of themselves. Their eyes bulged, their skin sagged like wet cloth, but their mouths, smiling, endlessly smiling. They spoke in unison.
Do you want to try ballerina cappuccino? Tra-la-la, tra-la-la, Saha time.
I covered my ears, shut my eyes. Didn't work. They grabbed me, held me down. I felt fingers pry my eyelids open. Someone shoved the phone inches from my face. The screen flickered. I screamed. Too late. It came. The creature tore through the screen like a riptide and latched onto my face. It was sticky and hot, like liquid panic, forcing itself through my skin, drilling into my skull. I writhed. They held me tighter. The audio looped. The images flashed. Bright, dumb colors and deformed faces dancing over meaningless music. It was torture. It was hollow. And then, something shifted. I stopped fighting. Suddenly it felt nice, light, funny. The sounds weren't meaningless anymore. They were funny. I smiled, I giggled. Do din 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 do. I felt the rock settle into my brain like a warm bath. The pain vanished. Everything made sense now. Ballerina cappuccino, tralalero tralala. I looked up at the others, my new family, and we laughed together. And now I see you. You're still watching, aren't you? Go ahead, scroll down, just once more. Let brain rot in.